Hey everyone, it's Ten Types, and first of all, I'm still sick, and also sorry if there's any background noise. Things are very chaotic for me right now, so sorry about that. But what's actually bigger news and probably more important to everyone, including me, PTCGO is going away. Yeah, it's officially like sunsetting or whatever on the at the end of May, or I guess the beginning of June. And then you can't play it anymore at all. You can still migrate after that, which is kind of strange. I might cover that as we get closer. And actually, go check out the comment fossil if you want. For more information on that, I believe he has a video on that. But anyways, let's just hop straight into this because legacy format is a thing. And with PTCGO shutting down, it's essentially not going to be a thing anymore. It's a very strange format, arguably a very bad format, and many serious flaws. But I think it's worth taking a look at. And by the way, before we get into things, I want to let you know that I'm not actually super familiar with Legacy. I played it some, but I only played a few of the decks. And quite frankly, Legacy on PTCGO was really bad, so it was really awkward finding interesting things. For example, I don't know what Black Belt does. If you're behind on prizes, you do 40 more damage, so that's like really good, right? But yeah, there are lots of really unique cards in Legacy format. If you don't know, Legacy format is Hard Gold, Soul Silver, through the end of the Black and White era. So we got around 4 years worth of sets. Some very strange rulings because let's see. So Lost Remover here, which Lost a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. A very powerful card. It is a trainer, and its subtype is trainer. So like what's going on here? Items were called trainers during this time, and then we see like a supporter is like a support. It's kind of strange. Then you have this is. Let's see. No, come on. Where's an R? Okay, this is. Okay, I'm looking for like a regular item from the Hypnotoxic Laser, an item card. It's a trainer item, which is kind of what you're used to. It's also a Team Plasma card, which guess we'll talk about as well. There are a lot of really interesting things about Legacy. That being said, there are a lot of really bad things about Legacy too. But let's talk about the decks here. I'm going to showcase like 8 or so decks. And so first of all, this is I guess what's it called? Landogarb? Maybe Mewtwo Landorus? There are a few main ideas here. First of all, we have Landorus EX, which is a very powerful Hammerhead attack. Well, it's strong Hammerhead attack. 30 to the active, 30 to one on the bench. Also, interesting typing here, fighting type, water weak, lightning resistance. All three of those things really matter a lot, which is really fun. One of the things I like about it. Then Land Judgment 80, and then you can do 70 more if you discard all fighting attached to this Pokemon. So a really interesting Pokemon that's playing various decks. I played this with a deck that we're going to talk about later on. It's a very solid energy efficient attacker. We see it's like, I guess, the main attacker here. Pairing it with the somewhat notorious Garbotoxin Garbodor, which turns off all abilities if Garbodor has a tool attached. So of course we play lots of tool cards to turn off all abilities. The only ability we play here is Garbotoxin. And spoilers, there are some very powerful abilities. That being said, as I said, there are some weird rulings. There are Pokebodies and Pokepowers, which are not abilities. So Garbodor will not turn those off. I don't know if we're going to see a Vileplume deck. In a lot of tournaments, Vileplume's banned. Like, there's some very powerful cards. Vileplume's an item lock card. That's a Pokebody, so you can item lock and ability lock your opponent at the same time, which is just so toxic. So yeah, that's a big part of the issue. The format Garbodor is kind of toxic and Vileplume is toxic. But then we also see Mewtwo EX here as debatably the best Pokemon of all time, to be honest. It's absolutely insane. Attack X Ball here, 20 times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. So this is the same actually as Tapu Lele GX, which came many years later, except for Mewtwo EX hit weakness on itself. You get these very weird mechanics or interaction, I guess, where people are just KOing Mewtwo back and forth with Mewtwo's. In this list, we do see Hypnotoxic Laser, which I mentioned earlier, but pretty much just poisons your opponent's active. It also puts them to sleep on a coin flip, and then they need to flip another coin to wake up, but realistically, it's not a huge shield. The big thing here is poison, which does 10 extra damage, and then you use this very powerful Stadium Verback City Gym, increasing that to 30 damage. Verback City Gym is a very powerful card. And arguably the best stadium, although there's a few others that are very powerful as well. So pretty much you have this item stadium combo that led to just massive amounts of damage. Increase 30 doesn't seem like a ton, but you can look at like Power Tablet, which is a very good card in current standard format. And when HPs are lower, this is even better. And then we also see this Kyurem here. We might talk about this later, or similar cards at least. it does the average attack, which is 20 plus 10 more for each damage count in this Pokemon, which was printed on the 3 very powerful Pokemon, Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem, the worst of the 3, I'd argue. Yeah, and then we also see, I guess I should talk about the main supporters here. We also see, like, Ultra Ball here is a very powerful item, and I'll talk about Junk Arm. Junk Arm is absolutely insane. Oh, by the way, there's no Gust in this format, which is kind of bad. Some of you are familiar with the card Pokemon Catcher, which is flip coin if heads, Gust one of your opponent's Pokemon, and Pokemon Reversal is the same thing. So it doesn't matter which you play. You can play 4 of each if you want. But anyways, you have Pokemon Reversal and Pokemon Catcher, which are Gust on the coin flip, which is like okay, but not that good. But some of you may know that Pokemon Catcher was didn't always have a coin flip. In fact, when it was in format, I don't believe it had a coin flip. But because of the way that PTCGO works, it now has the coin flip. So there's no consistent Gust. There's like Gust on a coin flip, which is it's not a coin flip, right? It's not very consistent. So that's a major issue. I think many of the lists here will not be running any Gust. It depends on your playstyle and stuff like that. But anyways, the main supporters here, we see Professor Juniper. I don't really need to click on that. N, which is like Shuffle and Disruption. Juniper is the same as Research, if you don't know. Discard draw 7. Professor Oak's New Theory, aka Pont, yes. I don't know. It's abbreviated PONT. It's the same as Cynthia, Shuffle draw 6. I talked about Black Belt, not a staple. I think Clovis here, one of the most powerful supporters, debatably, we've ever seen. Although you could also make an argument that it's not that strong. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a card equal to the number of bench Pokemon. This can get there's no way to expand your bench, but it could theoretically be Shuffle Draw 16. But certainly a Shuffle Draw 10 is reasonable. This deck doesn't like tons of basic Pokemon. We see it only has 9 in the whole deck, which isn't. I think I did that. I think there's only 8. 8 Pokemon in the whole basics in the whole deck, but there are decks that play tons of basics and like tons of basics. Colas is like an absolutely insane supporter. And then Floatstones in this format, Tool Scrapper. We see some Rope, Super Rod. We have the A specs as well. Scoop Up Cyclone. Returns a Pokemon into your hand and all cards attached, allowing you to heal up, which is like the main use of it here. And then the really powerful, debatably one of the best cards ever. Again, that's probably a bit of a stretch, but it's absolutely absurd. One of the best cards in this format. Junk Arm, discard up to 2 cards from your hand. Search your discard pile for a trainer card. Show it to your opponent and put it into your hand. You can't recover Junk Arm. Keep in mind, this when it says trainer, it actually means item. As I said, the wordings and rulings are very confusing if you're not familiar with the format. So, yeah, you cannot recover Junk Arm or you can't recover like supports with Junk Arm, so be wary of that. But it's still an absolutely insane card because you can recover like any of these powerful item cards. It's just a massive boost in consistency, and there is another way to make up for the fact of discarding 2 cards. Because if you have to discard 2 cards to get to play Junk Arm, and then you recover an Ultra Ball, and you have to discard 2 more cards, it can become a real bother on your resources. Also, there's another staple item that's for some reason not played in this list. I don't know why, but I imagine some other lists will play it. So let's hop into the next list here. This is another basic Pokemon-based list. We actually see a different Kyurem here. And this is the Team Plasma package. I realize this video is going to go on for quite a while, so sorry about that. But there's some really interesting stuff here in Legacy as a trip down memory lane. So I guess I'll talk about Deoxys EX here first. Notably, we see its ability Power Connect. Your Team Plasma Pokemon do 10 more damage. That's to the active specifically. That's good, right? It's actually very good if you get 4 of them into play. You're doing 40 more. Pretty substantial there. Helix Force, if it has Plasma Energy, it does 60 damage. It's not great. It can hit a Psychic Weakness. It's, of course, Psychic Weak itself as well. But it's an okay attacker, mostly used for its ability, though. But then we also see this really powerful, or pretty powerful, single-price Kyurem. As I said, another Team Plasma Pokemon does 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and 30 to the active. Same as Landorus EX here. 2 energy on a basic single prizer. But there's a way to accelerate to us. There are multiple ways, I believe, to accelerate to this in this deck. The Blizzard attack 120 for 3, and it can't attack next turn. Not bad either. But you're probably not attacking with Blizzard Burn, but because it only plays 1 water, you can. You have 4 Prism, 2 Blend, which provides this, does not cover Deoxys attack. And then Plasma Energy here, which is just colorless, but we'll get to its use later. It's not that good, though. As I said, it boosts Deoxys damage. Thunderous EX, an absolutely insane Pokemon here. Reed Knuckle 30. Attach an energy from your disco pile to one of your bench team plasma Pokemon. Can be used to power up another Thunderous or a Kyurem. And the idea here is that you can accelerate special energy and then Thunderous Noise 90 if this has any. Sorry, for lightning colorless, very expensive. But if this Pokemon has any plasma energy attached to it, discard energy attached to the defending Pokemon, okay attack. It's expensive, but it's like okay. We see the same supporters as well. Oh, and I guess I didn't talk about it. If you don't know what it does, you just play a Shuffle Scissor Hand into their deck, and then draw a prize card for each, or draw a card for each prize they have remaining. That means if you're up, then you just, it's not as good, but if you're down, it's very powerful. It's a nice comeback card. We see lower counts in more aggressive based decks, and higher counts in more defensive based decks because you'll be down more. In fact, it's completely broken in a few decks we'll look at soon. But then we see the Hypnotoxic Laser at Team Plasma card, a Team Plasma Ball, searches for a Plasma Pokemon, and then Colossus Machine, probably the big card. It's only played 2 caps in this deck, but search your deck for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterwards. The idea here being that you just accelerate energy as like a Lisa Sparkle, but an item, Plasma Energy, again, is not a very powerful card because it's just a colorless energy, but because you can accelerate it and it has some synergy with some stuff, it actually becomes pretty strong. And then, Bicycle, I guess I should have talked about before. Draw until you have 4 cards in hand is a solid draw on an item. It can draw you 4 cards with an item. That's pretty insane. And then we see Dowsing Machine here, which is like Junk Arm, except it can recover a supporter. Because it literally has like the same text as Junk Arm, but it was put in a later set. So you can recover supporters. This is the ace spec I generally used because it was moderately affordable. And it's quite strong. Oh, and Silver Bangle is also an interesting card. The attacks of the non-EX do 30 more to your opponent's EX. Kind of like Choice Belt, Choice Band, things like that. Except it can't be attached to EXs, so that's interesting. You obviously put it on Kyurem here. And then we see the Verbank Hypnotoxic Laser combo. Again, it's so good. Next up, we have the amusingly named Virgin deck. I did not name this deck, but yeah. It's a unique naming choice here. And debatably the best attacker in the format, and debatably the best deck is Genesect EX here. A very powerful Pokemon. I'm assuming it plays a certain ace spec that's very powerful with it. Red Signal, though, whenever you attach a Plasma Energy to your hand, you can just gust. This is one of the most consistent ways of gusting. Of course, it's your energy attachment for a turn, which oftentimes doesn't provide a lot of value to you attacking. That being said, it's consistent gust, and that's always appreciated in a format without it. And then the stack Megalo Cannon here, 100. This does 20 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for Grass colorless. Fire is not a particularly strong type in this format, so its typing is certainly fine. And so, I mean, Fire type's okay, but it's not that good. I imagine some of you are thinking it's very good. It's not that good. Yeah, that doesn't look amazing off the bat, but it is actually very good. And it gets much better. Also, you generally see like 170 HP. 180 on like EXs, basic EXs, which are the only EXs, because there are not Mega EXs in this one. Then we also see, this Ditto, by the way, is the same as Sudowoodo, if you're wondering about that. Mr. Mime, the first deck to play it here, is Bench Barrier. Sock does more to Team Plasma Pokemon, so some kind of cool stuff there. But then we see the Celebi, and so this is a very powerful card. A legacy exclusive because you can't. Well, this combo is legacy exclusive because this is the oldest card in the oldest block of the set paired with stuff from the newest block of the set. Force Breath here once during your turn. If Celebi's in the active, you can attach a Grass Energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So yeah, this is nice because it's just good because it just like accelerates energy. It's very powerful. We see this very powerful Stadium Sky. Oh, I didn't even realize all the cards it played. This is super spicy. It's not actually that spicy, but it's kind of fun. We see the Skyro Bridge, a very powerful card that says there are 2 costs of each basic and plays 1 colorless less. And this is one of the strong Stadium. I'd say it's not as strong as Verbank City Gym. That being said, it's still very good. And then also we see Colossus Machine, again, to power up Genesect. It doesn't always feel great to use because, of course, the Plasma Energy can give you that gust effect, but it can be useful. We see Veruzian EX here as well, moderately similar to the however, I've forgotten already, the Thunderous EX, which accelerates energy. Vision EX also accelerates energy from your deck to your bench Pokemon. This is very powerful. 50 for 2, accelerate 2 grass energy from your deck to one of your bench Pokemon. Of course, Genesect here. Also, it has a really unique ability here that says your Pokemon with grass energy can't be affected by special conditions. So this is why Verbank gets a lot of this is why it's a counter to Verbank, which is nice as well. And then we also see this really unique Smeargle, which I think it sees play in a bunch of other decks. I mean, it does. I don't know if it sees play in the other decks I'm going to be showing you, though. But Portrait, an absolutely insane ability. We've seen an attack like this, but it's nowhere near as good. Once your turn, if Smeargle is your active, you may look at your opponent's hand. If you do choose a Porter there and then use it, like, pretty much as the effect of this ability, this is pretty crazy because if you hit a Research, which is, or Juniper, which is very common, like, that's very good because you just essentially get 2 supporter uses. Usually, though, you can end up hitting a Juniper when your hand, like, it could literally deck you out. You could deck yourself out with Smeargle, or you could discard your very important resources. So it's kind of funny that way because you can't choose to deny using any supporter card. So Smeargle is a really fun card, a really powerful card because it almost gives you a second supporter use. So very good. I think Shadow Triad, I guess I'll talk about. Put a Team Plasma card from Discard Palette into your hand. Now you may be wondering why it's in this deck. Well, because you got this absolutely absurd A-Spec card, G Booster, that can essentially only be used with Genesect EX. For Grass Colors, you do 200 and then you discard energy attached to this Pokemon. By the way, this also hits through effects. Is that a big deal? I don't really think so. But 200 is pretty good, right? This will one-shot pretty much anything. And it firmly cements itself as like the most powerful Pokemon in the format, I have to say. And then Shadow Triad's there to recover it. The Junk Arm can also recover it. Because at this point, tool cards were still considered item cards. And then we see this really funky Alf lithograph card. There are actually 4 of these. I believe this is the 3rd one. I could be mistaken about that. But they have this weird like translation because it has the various unknowns. And this is looking at all your face-down prize cards. And that's what it just says, which is like pretty insane. If we played Town Map, this is the same idea. The main reason that it's in this specific deck is so that you can grab your G Booster out, but you also have other one-ofs that you can grab, which is kind of cool. Now, this Ditto provides a value, and I think a specific matchup, which we'll talk about later, but the matchup is probably an odd win anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, Ditto's pretty like fun, and then Smeargle, Stalk, Mr. Mime, very solid tech options, which you can kind of see with Alpha Lithograph. And really importantly, you don't have to reveal to your opponent that those cards are in the prizes. This is an absolutely insane card. That's like a very strange one as well, because like look at it. What is this? Next we see debatably one of the most iconic Legacy decks. This is Ray Eels. If you played Rayquaza VMAX or heard of it, same idea, discard all fire or lightning energy basic attached to this Pokemon. Does 60% energy discarded. So the idea here is that you use electric to accelerate energy to Rayquaza, which accelerates lightning from the discard. We also see, excuse me, sorry, I'm kind of sick still. You see this Victini here. And this Victini says it does 100 for 2 if you have 4, as long as you have a full bench. And there's Raikou here, which says it can do paralysis on a coin flip, but also discard all lightning energy, do a 100 snipe. So the idea here is that you get lots of lightning on your Rayquaza or other Pokemon, and then just start killing stuff. And then this Jirachi EX is an absolutely insane card as well. It's Tapu Lele or Tapu Lele GX or Lumineon V. Search for a supporter on play. But it's actually lovable searchable, which is good and bad. It actually led to a card being, or is this? No, it led to Island Challenge Amulet being banned. But yeah, very low HP, very vulnerable, but very nice because you can search it with lovable. And then Keldeo EX, a really interesting card, a solid attacker. But its ability here says rush in. If it's on your bench, you can switch into the active, and then you can stick a Floatstone on. Give yourself a free pivot option. We also see Sky Arrow Bridge to assist and retreat. Oh, and then this is, like, funny. You just see, like, 2 Pokemon Catcher. Like, no one wants to be running this, but you kind of have to because of the format's so weird. And then we see Town Map. I think Alf Lithograph is a better card, but it's kind of hard to get as well. I don't know if that's the reason why it's not played, but I think it's better. when the Skylar search for a trainer, but then Twins here are a very powerful supporter as well, which we'll get to, and actually is one of the more powerful supporters as well. You can only use this if you have more prize cards left than your opponent, which is it's kind of like teammates. You search your deck for any 2 cards, but if you're just behind the whole game, aka you're playing control, which by the way, control is broken in this format, and it's often banned because it's so broken. But if you have more prize cards than your opponent, search your deck for any 2 cards, put them into your hand. I mean, it's very nice for setting up stuff up, including stage 2s, which we'll get to here. So I think the rest are all stage. No, we have 2 stage 2 decks to look at here. This one here is Blastoise. If you're familiar with this Blastoise, Deluge, you can accelerate as much water energy like per turn. And then Keldo EX, 50 plus 20 for each water energy attached. This is very similar to the Rayquaza electric deck, but the idea here is that you just go ahead and use water energy instead of lightning energy. That's a very similar idea, though. Being Grass Week's kind of bad, though, which is something you never expect to hear. But yeah, Grass is debatably the best type in Legacy, especially if you count this Execute here. With this absolutely insane ability, Propagation, one of the iconic expanded cards, but also iconic Legacy cards. If this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you can put it into your hand. This means that you can go ahead and Junk Arm, discard 2 Executes, recover them, and then Ultra Ball away those same 2 Executes, and Ultra Ball again. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. Ultra Ball again, those same executes. It's pretty insane. Then Computer Search away those same executes, and then you can just do this forever. Max Potion, heal all damage, discard all energy, a very powerful card. Superior Energy Retrieval, discard 2 cards, aka 2 executes. And then recover 4 basic energy for water energy, do 80 more damage. It's a pretty insane card. Yeah, and that's about it. And then we also, you see that, like, this is actually very similar to the Chin Pow deck that's going to be coming out in the next set, I think, with Keldeo EX, Keldeo EX being replaced by Chin Pow, Blastoise being replaced by Max Caliber, and then we are actually getting Superior Energy Retrieval reprint. And then we'll talk about this mysterious card that for some reason Limitless is not liking. I don't like the card either, but is it in all the rest of the decks? No, it's not. But it's in this deck. This is my deck. This is, like, debatably the coolest deck ever. And maybe not this build. This isn't the build I played, but it's based on the Empoleon. This deck is, by the way, called Empire, with Empoleon and then Dust Noir. So Diving Draw, you may be familiar with this ability. Discard 1, draw 2. So on stage 2, but honestly, it's still very good. And Attack Command 10 for each bench Pokemon, both yours and or each Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent. If you each have a full bench, this will be hitting 120, 10 bench Pokemon plus the 2 actives. So this is very powerful. We do see Max Potion as well. 140 HP is solid, certainly, and you can heal off and do big damage. I really love this deck, as I said. The Spirit Team turns off Ace Specs, an interesting card. We see the Smeargle coming back, right? And then the Dust Noir, the other part of this deck's title. Sinister Hand, as often as you like during your turn, you may move 1 damage card from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon. That's completely busted because you can control where their damage counters are, especially with Flygon here. I did not play Flygon. I actually played it with Landorus. Landorus with Empoleon, Dust Noir is a really fun deck. You can tech this deck out in many ways. Despite being a double stage 2, there's so many techs. It's really interesting. With this Flygon here, stage 2 says if it's in the active, anytime between turns, so between, this would be, read now is during Pokemon Checkup, put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon. Of course, this means it's essentially doing 60 damage, 60 damage if they have the full bench. But then back again, it'll be doing 60 more, so it's essentially doing the same amount of damage as Empoleon, which is pretty crazy, and it's not your attack. Is it good? I mean, it's pretty solid, and then you can move the damage around with Dust Noir, so it doesn't matter how much you're doing, you're never wasting any. Although with Empoleon, you'll never really be wasting any either, because it's rarely going to be one-shotting, but when you two-shot, even if you're doing 240 damage across 2 turns, and your opponent, say, has 140 HP, you move the damage counts off. It's really interesting, and it's dynamic. And with Max Potion, you can recover them with Junk Arm, so you can Max Potion 6 times in a game. Pretty insane. Again, we see Silver Bangle, and then I guess it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. The iconic, yes, it's Tropical Beach is the card that is not showing up for, I don't know exactly why it's not showing up. It is a Worlds promo, though, so it is essentially impossible to get. Quite frankly, the fact that you can get it is just absurd. It is actually a very powerful card in this format. and as I said, essentially impossible to get. You can spend literal thousands of dollars to acquire this deck, but that's like kind of stupid. It's a children's game. Why do you spend thousands of dollars on it? So yeah, don't pretty much just ignore this card. I did not play this card obviously in my deck. So it's a very powerful card though. This is once during your turn, you may draw till you have 7 cards in your hand, and then your turn ends. This is synergy with Flygon because it allows you to end your turn and then do the damage with Flygon, but also draw these cards. It's very powerful. And then we also see it in the Tropical Beach in this Blastoise deck. It's good with stage 2s. I don't know why it's not in these other decks, possibly because these people are kind of sane. But we'll talk about it. These decks, which are kind of interesting. This Weavile is honestly pretty insane with this attack of Vilify. Hail's not an awful attack either, attempt to eat your opponent's Pokemon, but Vilify discards as many Pokemon from your hand as you like. This is 30 times the number of Pokemon discarded. So let's say you discard 4 Pokemon, for instance. That'll be doing 120, not an awful amount of damage. Let's say you discard 5, 6, 7. So now you can be one-shotting any. You don't need to. If you discard 6, you should be one-shotting anything. So we do see a 4/4 Weavile. And then Execute. You can discard the same 4 Execute every turn. Insane. So you're essentially getting plus 120 damage with Execute. It's insane. Execute Weavile is like one of the strongest combos in Expanded. Oh boy, I'm losing my voice. And then Sableye. Oh, I realized the deck I didn't talk about was Darkrai EX. Darkrai EX isn't that strong though, and it's just a different variation of Mewtwo anyway. So, well, whatever. But it's good. But Sableye is a very powerful. Put 2 item cards from your discard pile into your hand for 1 dark. It's actually banned and expanded. Oh wait, was there a deck with Getsis? I think there was, but maybe not. Is this deck? No. Oh yeah, that deck plays Getsis. We'll get there. But yeah, Sableye is one of the banned cards. Just legal and legacy, as there are no bans. It's absolutely insane because you can recover item cards. And notably, you're looking at Dark Patch here, a very powerful item that is actually in the current standard format to accelerate a Dark Energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Of course, that bench Pokemon would be a Weavile, which I just talked about. And then also the Sneasel has Free Retreat. And it's actually a reprint of a very powerful Sneasel. But that's, I guess, a topic for another day. We don't really need to talk about that. If you want to hear me talk about the banned Sneasel, comment that down below. I don't know how much I can talk about it. I did not really play much during that era, but it's certainly a unique card. So yeah, pretty much the whole combos you execute over and over in Weavile. Silver Bangle can do more damage. You see various things, but it's a very powerful deck. And now moving on to our last deck. So this might look very similar. We see Sableye executes Weaviles, but this is a different Weavile. With a really, really overpowered ability here, or Pokepower, it's essentially an ability. During your turn, when you play Weavile from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, so when you play it, look at your opponent's hand, choose a card from there, and discard it. That's pretty busted. You literally choose what to discard, it's gone forever. Like, not gone forever, they can recover it, but it's super powerful. Now, this is debatably the BDIF. I think it probably is. And then the idea here is that you go ahead and you recover, whereas like our Devolution Spray, it does exactly what it sounds. Sounds like it devolves your Pokemon, devolves your Weavile here. So yeah, you devolve your Weavile, and then you go ahead with, you like Sableye, and then you pretty much discard cards from their hand every turn. And Execute, as I said, just a good card. But then we see the Slowking, which is actually also very overpowered. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 3 cards of either player's deck, aka your opponent's, and put them back in any order. This is Chip Chip Ice Axe, another banned card. It's essentially that, but debatably better. And then this absolutely insane Getsis. Your opponent reveals his or her hand, shuffles all item cards found there into his or her deck, and then draw that number of cards that they shuffle back into their deck. This card's also banned because it gets rid of all your opponent's items. And then you draw absurd amounts of cards. So pretty much the idea here is that, it's just a very good card. We also see Life Dew, another very overpowered card. A trainer and an item, but also a tool here that says if this Pokemon is knocked out, it gives up 1 less prize card. AKA, it doesn't give up a prize card because all the Pokemon here are single prizes. You can Crushing Hammer to discard your opponent's energy every turn. You can also Gust with Pokemon Catcher, not consistently, but you can do it. We see N is completely broken in this deck because you're going to be drawing 6 cards every time. Your opponent's going to be drawing not 6 cards every time. We also see not necessarily. We also see hypnotoxic laser to actually do damage, kind of. But your opponent can't do anything, so you'll eventually win off of lasers. But they're never taking any KOs because Life Dew stops KOs. It's like absolutely absurd. The cycle just goes on forever, and then you just like lose to this deck. This deck's completely broken. Yeah, this is a big part of why Legacy's bad. No one really plays this deck in ladder, but it's pretty broken. But yeah, this is Legacy, right? That's me talking about Legacy for half an hour. I hope you enjoyed the video. Legacy's a funky format. PTCGO is going away, which is sad. Do we need Legacy back? Probably not, but like we need something. And if Legacy's the option, that's fine. I hope you enjoyed this. Tell me, what's your favorite deck? Mine might be Virgin. Mine might be Mewtwo Garb, Lando, whatever. Honestly, most of these decks are really cool. I definitely like Empire without Tropical Beach. As a Tropical Beach is a big problem in the format as well. But I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to comment down below what you think the next format should be for live. It should be full expanded. I personally don't even think full expanded is like good. Full expanded is just a bad format. Unfortunately, right now, limited expanded is better than full expanded. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, it could be something like GLC, could be random battles, could be I've heard of tons of other formats. But I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you in the next video, and I hope I feel better. See you.